In the fall of 1867, along a desolate stretch of road between Joplin and Springfield, Missouri, federal agents uncovered a chilling discovery that would haunt the Ozarks for decades. Beneath the floorboards of Sullivan's trading post, they found ledgers detailing the names, descriptions, and estimated wealth of over 300 travelers. Written in precise Irish script, each entry included notations that sent shivers down the spines of investigators: route taken, Devil's Backbone Trail, expected return, none, gold recovered, $2 400. The final entry, dated just 2 weeks before the discovery, read, H. Zimmerman, German prospector, traveling alone, estimated $8,000 in dust. Shaw nervous. Patrick says we finish this one and leave Missouri for good. This grim find exposed the most elaborate murder conspiracy in post-Civil War America, a web of corruption woven into the very fabric of Southwest Missouri's power structure. Before diving deeper into the tale of Patrick and Shaw Sullivan, make sure you're subscribed to Liturgy of Fear for more eerie historical mysteries, and let us know in the comments what state you're tuning in from. We love connecting with our listeners across the country. The Sullivan brothers' story begins not with their crimes, but with the rugged landscape that enabled them. The untamed Ozark Mountains of post-Civil War Missouri were a place where federal authority was scarce, and local law was dictated by those with the most firepower. In 1867, Southwest Missouri was a cauldron of barely contained chaos. The Civil War had ended just 2 years earlier, but its scars ran deep through the Ozark Hills. Former Confederate guerrillas roamed the dense forests, now turned bandits, while Union veterans, many Irish immigrants who fought for promised land and prosperity, struggled to survive in a region that viewed them with distrust. Into this volatile setting arrived Patrick and Shaw Sullivan in spring 1864, two brothers from County Cork who had served in the 9th Missouri Infantry. Patrick, 32, had a keen mind for business and a silver tongue that could coax secrets from even the most guarded traveler. Shaw, 28, built like a brawler, had learned during the war that violence, strategically applied, could solve problems charm couldn't. They set up their trading post at Hellhound Crossing, where the main road from Joplin to Springfield met the perilous Devil's Backbone Trail, a shortcut through the heart of the Ozarks. The location was ideal, remote enough to evade regular federal patrols, yet positioned at a vital crossroads where weary travelers would eagerly pay for supplies, information, or a safe place to rest. The trading post itself was unassuming, a log structure with a false front to appear grander, stocked with basic goods and tables for sharing drinks. What set it apart was the brothers' knack for making every visitor feel privy to insider knowledge. Patrick's charm disarmed even the wariest, while Shaw's imposing presence ensured loose lips stayed that way and curious minds stayed silent. In 1867, the Missouri Ozarks were riding an unusual economic wave. The California gold rush was waning, and prospectors were returning east through Missouri, carrying gold dust, nuggets, and years of hard-earned savings. These men were wealthy, exhausted, and far from any law that could protect them. Local communities had mixed feelings about these travelers. Their money was welcome, but their rough, suspicious natures, honed in brutal mining camps, made them difficult customers, quick to violence if they felt cheated. The Sullivans, however, had an uncanny ability to manage even the most volatile prospectors. Men who arrived at Hellhound Crossing wary and hostile would leave hours later, laughing, shaking hands with the brothers, and clutching detailed maps with safe routes to their destinations. Unbeknownst to the community, the Sullivans' first year in Missouri wasn't spent just building a business, but crafting a far more lucrative enterprise, a sophisticated network of information and corruption that made their trading post the epicenter of the Ozarks' most profitable criminal scheme. The first hint of something sinister came in October 1868, 164, when Martha Hensley, a farmer's wife delivering eggs to the trading post, overheard a chilling conversation. It was dusk on October 15, the autumn air sharp with the scent of wood smoke and decaying leaves. As she approached the back door, she caught Patrick's lilting Irish voice speaking to a stranger. "That German fellow, Klaus, left 3 days ago with enough gold to buy half of Springfield. Took the devil's backbone like you suggested. Should have reached the main road by now, but no one's seen him." Patrick's reply was icy. "That trail's treacherous, especially for a man alone. Wild country out there, animals, bandits, accidents. Who's to say?" The stranger pressed. "The timing's too convenient. Every time you send someone that way." Shaw's booming voice cut in, laced with menace. "You questioning us? Take your concerns to Sheriff Dalton. I'm sure he'd love to hear your doubts." The silence that followed was heavy with threat. The stranger backed off, muttering about bad luck on the trail. Patrick's tone lightened. "Bad luck follows some men like a loyal hound. Now, about that payment we discussed." Martha slipped away without delivering her eggs, her mind reeling. But who could she tell? Sheriff Thomas Dalton was Patrick's drinking buddy. Federal marshals rarely patrolled the area, and her evidence was mere eavesdropping. She kept silent, a choice that would haunt her forever. Within 2 weeks, 3 more prospectors vanished on the Devil's Backbone Trail, and whispers of unease in Ozark communities grew into near panic. The pattern was unmistakable. A lone prospector would visit Sullivan's trading post, spend hours drinking and discussing routes with the brothers, and Patrick would recommend the Devil's Backbone as a time-saving shortcut, complete with maps and discounted supplies. The travelers would depart in high spirits, grateful for the brothers' hospitality, only to disappear without a trace. By December 1864, the vanishings were undeniable. Frederick Steinbeck, a Springfield boarding house owner, began investigating after his brother-in-law, Klaus, failed to arrive for Christmas. Klaus had written from California, planning to travel through Missouri in November with enough gold to start anew. When January came with no word, Frederick traced Klaus's route to Sullivan's trading post. The brothers remembered Klaus vividly, a pleasant man with good English, who left on November 18, heading northeast on the Devil's Backbone. Patrick showed Frederick a map with the route he'd recommended, expressing concern. "Dangerous country out there." We warned him about traveling alone, but he was set on reaching Springfield fast. Shaw added gravely, told him to stick to the main road, but he feared bandits there, thought the back trails were safer. Frederick left puzzled. The brothers' story was plausible, their concern genuine, yet something felt off. He returned 3 more times, hoping to catch a slip, but the Sullivans were too meticulous. As winter turned to spring 1865, communities between Joplin and Springfield noted a disturbing trend. Missing travelers clustered around trails near Sullivan's trading post. Sheriff Dalton, a former Confederate officer, publicly blamed the region's lawlessness. Confederate holdouts, Union deserters, bandits, man travels alone with gold. He's gambling with his life. Privately, though, Dalton grew uneasy, not because he suspected the Sullivans, but because their tips about local criminals were eerily accurate. The brothers had helped him arrest more outlaws in 2 years than he had in the previous 5, reporting suspicious characters and stolen goods, even testifying against bandits. This earned them Dalton's trust and protection. When Frederick Steinbeck persisted with questions, Dalton shut him down. "The Sullivans have done more for law and order than anyone I know. Stop harassing honest businessmen with baseless theories." Meanwhile, the Sullivans expanded their operation into a sprawling intelligence network stretching from Kansas to Arkansas. Every traveler's conversation was recorded, not in public ledgers, but in secret notebooks hidden under a false floor. These notes detailed not just routes and wealth, but psychological profiles of ideal victims. lone men fresh from California carrying gold, with distant families unlikely to notice their absence quickly. The brothers' genius lay in their support network: bandits who executed the murders, merchants who laundered the gold, officials who derailed investigations, even clergy who vouched for their character. By spring 1866, their scheme fueled economic growth in Ozark towns, with stolen gold funding businesses, churches, and a school. The irony was bitter. The brothers' blood money made them pillars of the community, untouchable behind their generosity and charm. The investigation that unraveled the Sullivan network began with a mother's relentless pursuit of truth. Ellen McCready, a Union officer's widow from Illinois, raised her son Thomas alone after her husband died at Shiloh. When gold was discovered in California 19-year-old Thomas joined the rush, promising to return in 2 years with enough to buy a farm. In March 1866, he wrote from San Francisco, detailing his plan to travel home through Missouri with $3,000 in gold. When he didn't arrive by May, Ellen assumed delays, but months of silence drove her to action. A wartime volunteer who processed casualty reports, Ellen had learned investigative techniques from Union intelligence officers. In August 1866, she arrived in Springfield with maps, notes, and a methodical plan to retrace Thomas's route. Unlike others who made emotional pleas, Ellen approached her search like a military operation, visiting every stop on Thomas's path, armed with his photo and description. She recorded every detail, noting inconsistencies and other missing travelers. The pattern was clear. Thomas was last seen at Sullivan's trading post on April 15, 1866, then vanished. When Ellen reached the trading post in September, the brothers were ready with warm sympathy and detailed records, claiming Thomas took the safer main road to Springfield, not the Devil's Backbone. They provided a map and names of witnesses to corroborate their story. Ellen left impressed but uneasy. Patrick knew details about Thomas's life, his widowed mother, his farm plans, his exact $3,000 that he shouldn't have. That night in Springfield, she resolved to stay in Missouri, renting a house to conduct a one-woman investigation. Using wartime skills, Ellen documented 47 missing travelers linked to Sullivan's routes, all lone men with significant wealth and distant families. Her breakthrough came from Mary Catherine O'Brien, an Irish seamstress in Joplin, who recognized the Sullivans' accents from County Cork. In January 1867, Mary revealed they were Patrick and Seamus O'Malley, who fled Ireland in 1862 after robbing and killing travelers on remote roads. This confirmed Ellen's suspicions. The Sullivans were seasoned criminals, refining in Missouri a system they'd perfected in Ireland. Tragically, Mary vanished 2 weeks later, likely silenced by the brothers, signaling that Ellen's investigation was no longer secret. Undeterred, Ellen focused on the money trail, investigating Springfield's financial district. She uncovered that Cornelius McBride, a currency exchange owner, was laundering stolen gold in amounts tied to the disappearances. His operation linked to merchants, bankers, and officials, revealing a conspiracy embedded in Missouri's elite. By February 1867, Ellen's evidence, financial records, witness accounts, and items from disappearance sites was overwhelming. Knowing local authorities were compromised, she contacted Captain James Hartford, an incorruptible federal marshal from St. Louis she knew from the war. Her March 1867 letter to Hartford laid out her case methodically, with maps and records showing the Sullivans' role. Hartford arrived in Springfield on March 15, 1867, under an alias, meeting Ellen in a church basement. Her evidence stunned him, a criminal enterprise rivaling legitimate businesses with a shadow economy built on murder. Recognizing the danger, Hartford launched raids on March 18, targeting the trading post, McBride's exchange, and conspirators' homes. Beneath the trading post's false floor, agents found ledgers documenting 127 murders, victims' belongings, and Patrick's notes on manipulating targets. One entry chillingly detailed Thomas McCready's murder, planned for Widow's Creek. Financial records exposed Sheriff Dalton's $200 cut per victim, McBride's 15% commission, and even the mayor's payoffs. Searches at murder sites uncovered remains and belongings, while Dalton's safe held letters plotting Ellen's death. The arrests shattered southwest Missouri. The conspiracy's collapse tanked businesses tied to laundered gold, including Springfield's currency exchange and a church funded by murder profits. Patrick Sullivan confessed to 127 murders, boasting of a business built on information, not violence. Shaw described the killings as clinical operations. Most disturbingly, Patrick revealed contacts with similar networks in other states, hinting at a broader criminal industry. The 1,867 St. Louis trials, dubbed the Missouri Murder Machine, convicted the Sullivans of 127 murders. They were hanged in 1,868 before 3,000 spectators. Dalton and others got life, McBride and accomplices 20 years. Ellen, hailed as a hero, declined a federal investigative role, returning to Illinois, forever haunted by Thomas's violent death. The Sullivan case spurred federal patrols and missing persons databases, exposing the fragility of trust in post-war America. The Trading Post site, burned down in 1867, was avoided for decades, steeped in eerie folklore. A 1902 mass grave discovery of 47 bodies along the Devil's Backbone suggested the brothers' crimes exceeded even their confessions. Ellen's papers, donated in 1894, hinted at similar networks in Colorado, Nebraska, and Texas. Sealed case files and Patrick's cryptic special arrangements for high-value targets, like a vanished California legislator and federal officials, suggest the full truth remains hidden. The Sullivans exploited trust, proving that the deadliest criminals often hide behind respectability. What do you think? Was the full conspiracy ever uncovered? Share your theories below, subscribe to Liturgy of Fear, and join us for more dark tales from America's past. The shadows hide many secrets. Let's uncover them together.